From Saints Isidore and Maria Parish in Glastonbury, Connecticut, I'm Carol Vassar, and this is Living in Faith, Hope, and Love. Each week, our pastor, Father Mark Sislenko, delves into Scripture, shares insights from the saints, prophets, and theologians, and discusses practical ways to cultivate faith, strengthen hope, and embody love in the world around us. Through his reflections and spiritual encouragement, this podcast aims to inspire you to live your Catholic faith with joy and purpose. Welcome. Today, Father Mark invites us to look closely at the way God reveals himself, not only in the dramatic moments of salvation history, but in the quiet, tender, deeply human places where our own lives crack open. Yes, God parted seas, fed the hungry, healed the blind, and raised the dead. And yet, the clearest expression of his love came not in spectacle, but in vulnerability, most especially in the brokenness of Jesus on the cross. He reflects on the mystery of a God who chooses love over power, accompaniment over domination, and presence over proof. A God whose light shines not through our perfection, but through our fractures. A God who calls us to trust, even when everything feels lost, because resurrection always follows. Here's Father Mark.
As we look throughout salvation history, God's immense majesty and power shine forth in particular moments of time. Consider this. God is so powerful that he was able to create the heavens and the earth, all living things, human beings, and the smallest of ants. Everything was given a place. Everything has a purpose. And it's organized, and it's filled with life, and it's filled with love. When the Israelites are in trouble, God parted the Red Sea so that they could get to safety. When the Israelites were in trouble, he had manna flow from the sky so they could have food. We witness God's power, healing the blind, curing the sick, making lepers whole, reaching out to the poorest of poor. All of these signs and wonders were witnessed by those who knew Jesus. They saw what he was able to do. But yet they wondered and questioned, is he really who he says he is? And then the final moment, when Jesus hangs on the cross. They challenge him, and they tell him, if you're God, then get yourself out of this mess. If you're God, take yourself down. We saw what you did. We saw you heal. We saw you cure. We saw you make people whole. And here you are now, just hanging before us, a charlatan. And they jeered at him because he failed. I would think that if God wanted to convince us that he was real, that the resurrection was real, he would have come up with a more dramatic way to reveal that moment. Surely something could have happened that would have been that all-convincing thing that it's true. But Jesus simply died. As we look at how God works, there are these very dramatic moments that we can point to in time. But those aren't the moments where people are really converted and transformed. Those moments come when he reaches out to the adulterous woman and forgives her. Those moments come when he sees a guy up in the tree and invites himself to his house for dinner, a sinner, a tax collector. Those moments come when he tries to reassure his disciples to cling to their faith and to be strong. Those moments come when he chooses the weakest of weak to lead his church. What's being told to us in the death and the resurrection of Christ is we do not have a king that lords himself over us, a king who dramatically turns over our lives. We have a king who loves. And what this shows us today is that in Jesus' brokenness, in his shatteredness, in his ultimate cracks, God's light shines through. The courage and the witness comes from how courageously he approached this horrific death on a cross. That unconditional love that God has for you and for me and for all of his children, a love that endures the greatest of suffering, the worst of rejection, ridicule, scorn, and hatred. God's unconditional love shines through the cracks, not when we're perfectly put together and made whole. It's when we stumble, when we fall, when we're broken, when we're hurting, when we're suffering, when life is difficult, when we have to watch someone we love endure immense pain, when we have to journey with someone who's facing a very difficult time in their lives. This is where God's unconditional love shines forth. And that's where he tells each one of us, you are mine. Trust, trust. And that was the true message as Jesus breathed his last. Yes, I am broken. Yes, I am cracked. Yes, I have died. But trust is not over yet. The light of resurrection will shine through those cracks to bring immense joy and hope to all.
Father Mark Sislenko is the pastor of Saints Isidore and Maria Parish in Glastonbury, Connecticut. If you like what you've heard today, subscribe to Living in Faith, Hope, and Love on your favorite podcast app and take a moment to leave a review. Saints Isidore and Maria is an active parish community, so whether you're a longtime parishioner or just getting to know us through this podcast, we welcome you to join us at Masses or any of our other community events and services. Visit our parish website, isidoreandmaria.org, for a full schedule of happenings. That's isidoreandmaria.org. We're also active on Facebook and Instagram. On behalf of Father Mark, I'm Carol Vassar, and we thank you for listening to this episode of Living in Faith, Hope, and Love.